because of the devilish levels of greed and its despicable characteristics. This is the matter relating to the health and safety of our young compatriots in senior high school, as uncovered by our diligent and painstaking parliamentary oversight of thousands of helpless teenagers in senior high school, entrusted under their care by callously rebagging over 22,050 kg of expired and contaminated Moshosho rice from India and distributing same to our schools, deceptively as made in Ghana rice without expiry dates, in order to enrich a few corrupt, heartless, and unscrupulous individuals. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly oblige us to now provide the established and incontrovertible facts on this matter. On 20th December 2023, the Ashanti Regional Office of the Food and Drugs Authority, FDA, received an alert from a patriotic Ghanaian about a suspicious repackaging exercise which had not been authorized by the FDA. This unauthorized repackaging was shockingly being carried out at the storage facility of the National Food Buffer Stock Company in the Ashanti region. Kindly take note of this. It was not being done in some removed hideout, not at a secret location, not in somebody's house. It was being done right at the storage facility of NAFCO, the National Food Buffer Stock Company. When FDA officials acted on the alert, it emerged that a similar alert had been received by the Ashanti Regional Police Command, and the command had promptly moved in to close the storage facility. The FDA and the Ashanti Regional Police Command then commenced investigations into the matter. The Ashanti Regional FDA's investigations revealed the following damning findings. Native report. You will all receive copies this morning. Now, these are the findings the FDA made. 1. Moshosho rice, 25% broken white rice, with registration number FBA /CE 20701, was imported by Lamens Investment Africa Limited. Take note of the company, Lamens Investment Africa Limited. The notified party is the National Food Buffer Stock Company. The rice was exported from India by Satya Balaji Rice Industries PVT Limited. In all, 23,000 bags of 50 kg bags of rice were imported. The National Food Buffer Stock Storage Facility in Kumasi received 22,000 bags of 50 kg rice by the time of the alert, whilst the remaining 10,000 bags were being kept at a bonded warehouse in Italy, repackaging the Moshosho rice from its original yellow 50 kg polypropylene bags into white 50 kg polypropylene bags with the inscription Sidao ECOWAS, Regional Food Security Reserve. Whilst the best before date on the original Moshosho rice packaging was December 2023, there was no date on the new bags being used for the repackaging. This contravenes the General Labeling Regulation, LI 1541, that this House passed. The country of origin, India, was also changed to Ghana, concealing the true identity of the rice and creating a false narrative that Buffer Stock and Free SHS Secretariat were distributing made in Ghana rice. This illegal repackaging was carried out without FDA's approval as required by law. The National Food Buffer Stock Storage Facility had neither been licensed for storage or repackaging, contrary to the Public Health Act 2012 Act 851. It was also determined that the NAFCO storage facility had no qualified or trained person to supervise its activities. At the time of the criminal rebagging, investigations revealed that Lamens and NAFCO did not have approval for shelf life extension. Neither did they have the approval of the FDA to embark on their reckless, callous, and criminal operation. Ladies and gentlemen, it is well known that President Akufo-Addo's appointed CEO of the National Food Buffer Stock Company is Alhaji Hanan Abdul Wahab. He is also the NPP's parliamentary candidate for the Pusiga constituency. The board of the National Food Buffer Stock Company is chaired by the NPP's national organizer, Mr. Henry Nana Boache. It is most instructive to note that the importer, Lamens Investments Africa Limited, was single-sourced by NAFCO in what has become typical of all sweetheart deals under the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government. Lamens has no proven credible track record. Lamens was actually incorporated on 20th July 2020, few months before it was given this sweetheart deal. Its directors are David Ajefi Mensah and Simon Ejay. This company, Lamens, is notorious for offering unwholesome food to senior high school students. A 2021 Auditor General's report exposed Lamens for endangering the health of students with their contaminated food. They were also engaged in undersupplying food items. See pages 133 and 142 of the 2021 Auditor General's report, and we have brought a copy here for your own perusal. So Lamens, this is not the first time. They are notorious for contaminating food and serving that food, which is not wholesome, to our SHS students. Ladies and gentlemen, Lamens should therefore have been blacklisted as far back as 2021 if our institutions were working in the national interest. It is significant to point out that Lamens has admitted to its wrongdoing and agreed to pay an administrative fine of 100,000 Ghana cedis. Indeed, additional intercepted documents confirm that Lamens paid a 50% deposit of the fine to the Food and Drugs Authority amounting to 50,000 Ghana cedis. It was received by the FDA on January 5, 2024. We will be making available to you evidence of the payment and the Lamens letter admitting to its wrongdoing. Ladies and gentlemen, FDA insiders say that the untouchable Lamens has since refused to pay the remaining fine. Can you believe that? After endangering the life of our students, all they have suffered is a slap on the wrist, 50,000 Ghana cedis, peanuts, and they are even refusing to pay the rest. Ladies and gentlemen, an intercepted internal memo from the Ashanti Regional FDA, dated 29 December 2023, a copy of which is available here for you, reveals that initially the FDA intended to fine Lamens 150,000 Ghana cedis, and then dispose the 15,000 bags which had been repackaged at the time of the alert. And then this order to stop further thwarted the FDA's original plans, and we have incontrovertible evidence to that effect. Colleagues in the media, note that the Ashanti Region Police Command, in an intercepted letter, a copy of which we shall make available to you, dated 21st December 2023, signed by J.J. Boy, Superintendent in charge of crime in the Ashanti region, as he then was, wrote to the Ashanti Regional FDA Director requesting assistance in conducting an examination on the repackaged rice. Shockingly, even before the test results will arrive from FDA Accra, a reckless order came from above that the repackaged rice be distributed to all senior high schools. How callous can some politicians be? The FDA eventually submitted the test results, also known as Certificate of Analysis, on the 6th of February 2024. The intercepted copies of these FDA examination results are here and will be made available to you all, so that you know that everything we are speaking about today is not conjecture. It's not a figment of our imagination. We have the unimpeachable, incontrovertible evidence, which we will share with you. Go to the FDA, go to all of these institutions, and do your own verification. We have signed certified copies for your own journalistic work. Now, ladies and gentlemen, irrefutable to schools on the 1st and 2nd, Accra Girls Senior High School has consumed. Odogono has consumed. You can list all of them promptly. When the ones for Upper East, I see Simon here. He thinks his region is left out. It went to Bolga Senior High, and the others picked it up. Ashanti region, you see from the documents, it went to Konongo, Edumasi, and the rest picked it up. So if you think that your ward is in Prempe and Opokuwari and they are exempted, please think again. So you see all of them, including St. Monica's. We have all, you see the heads signing and receiving their consignments. It's all here. And indeed, we have followed up to speak to them, and they have confirmed that on the 1st and the 2nd of February, they received this rice, which they thought was ECOWAS benevolence, made in Ghana. They didn't know that ECOWAS knew nothing about the rice they were receiving. And one wonders why these criminals would do that to the regional body ECOWAS, and most importantly, would jeopardize the health of our students in this manner. Ladies and gentlemen, further checks confirm that these schools received the repackaged rice. We did not have a best before date. Headmasters have complained about receiving rice without expiry dates. And they tell us that when they raised concerns, they were threatened. And so regrettably, they had to keep mute and just accept the rice like that. Ladies and gentlemen, tragically, the FDA certificate of analysis on the repackaged rice samples shows significant presence of insects and a high fat acidity. We will have wished that despite all of the criminality, the rice was wholesome. Because it's not always that rice or food after the best before date, maybe sometimes you may be lucky, you know, and it may not be that bad. But unfortunately, the evidence we have from the FDA's own test results, show that this rice should not have been fed to our students. What we did was to deliver this FDA test results to medical doctors to advise us. Now, medical doctors we have engaged with this FDA laboratory evidence speak of grave health consequences for our SHS students. According to doctors, the health implications of consuming rice with high fat acidity and insect infestation are multifaceted. It encompasses immediate digestive systems, potential allergic reactions, long-term health risks, including chronic inflammation, liver disease, and nutritional deficiencies. Short-term effects are generally uncomfortable and may discourage consumption, but the long-term impacts are insidious, potentially leading to irreversible health consequences if consumption continues over time. Mind you, this rice is not all consumed in one day. It's in the storage facilities in the schools, and every day they are serving them over months till it is all consumed. And the doctors are saying that the more you consume this insect-infested and high-fat acidity contaminated rice, the more dangerous it is for the health of our SHS students. The doctors continue. They have given us documents which suggest, quote, long-term gastrointestinal and microbial health risks. Ingesting insect-contaminated rice regularly poses risks to gut health. Insects may introduce harmful bacteria and parasites, disrupting the delicate balance of gut microbiota. Repeated exposure to pathogens and potential parasites can weaken gut immunity and contribute to dysbiosis, where harmful bacteria outcompete beneficial gut bacteria, increasing susceptibility to chronic disorders like irritable bowel syndromes. And this, they have given us the reference point, Kuna et al. 2023. Furthermore, certain insect components like chitin may be difficult for some individuals to digest, potentially leading to chronic digestive issues and discomfort over time. Mycotoxin exposure and carcinogenic risks. Long-term ingestion of rice contaminated with mycotoxins due to insect presence or spoilage can be particularly harmful. Aflatoxins produced by certain molds in warm, humid storage conditions are well documented carcinogens, particularly linked to liver cancer. Chronic low-level exposure to aflatoxins from contaminated rice can accumulate over years, leading to an increased risk of hepatic cancer and other liver disorders. And they quote Aguilar Tuala et al., 2022. They continue, I'm still quoting the doctors. Nutritional deficiencies and long-term health impacts. When rice becomes rancid or is infested by insects, its nutritional profile can deteriorate. Such deficiencies over time may contribute to weakened immune function, poor growth in children, and compromised energy levels among adults, ultimately affecting quality of life and general well-being. And this research was conducted by Smith in 2020. Food poisoning and toxins from spoiled rice with high fat acidity can harbor mycotoxins, especially if exposed to fungal growth during storage. Mycotoxins are toxic compounds that fungi, particularly molds, produce as they colonize food products. When rice is stored improperly, the risk of mold contamination increases, making mycotoxins a danger. Short-term exposure to these toxins can cause nausea, vomiting, and liver distress, with certain mycotoxins, such as aflatoxins, recognized for their acute toxicity. Again, they quote Aguilar Tuala et al., their 2022 research. So the long-term health effects, according to the doctors, include chronic inflammatory response. Long-term consumption of rice with high fat acidity may contribute to systemic inflammation. Oxidized fats contain peroxides and aldehydes, compounds that can promote oxidative stress in the body and drive chronic inflammation. Persistent oxidative stress is linked to a higher risk of developing metabolic disorders, cardiovascular disease, and even certain cancers due to ongoing cellular damage. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a joke. This matter is not a light matter. And all of us must be legitimately angry at what they are doing to our students. This inflammation is exacerbated by the ingestion of oxidized fats that accumulate from habitual consumption of rancid rice. Ladies and gentlemen, sadly, our parliamentary oversight affirms that all the 22,000 highly contaminated, repackaged insect infested and high fat acidity rice have been consumed by our children in senior high schools across the country since February this year. Considering that the Moshosho rice expired in December 2023 and that distribution to schools was carried out in February 2024, coupled with the fact that these food items are stored over several months before they are completely consumed in dining halls, we can only imagine the levels of contamination by the time the students consume the entire quantities. Please take note of this point. If by late January, early February, the Food and Drugs Authority is telling us that this rice had high insect infestation and high fat acidity, imagine by March, April, May, June, July, when this rice was being consumed gradually, before they got finished a few weeks ago. If in January the rice was this bad, imagine by the time they were consumed, from March, April, May, June, July, how worse the contamination had become. And already, we have had cause for concern about how even some of this rice is stored. If you go to Mauli School in Ho, for example, you see the rice just the assembly hall, at the mercy of the vagaries of the weather. So you have to add all of these horrible storage conditions to an already contaminated food. Only God is protecting our children. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is totally unacceptable that the politicians and their business partners who conspired to put the health of our SHS students at great risk have not been made to answer for their crimes. Now, Act 851, Ghana's Public Health Act, is not ambiguous. Look at Section 1031 of the Act. It states, and I quote, "A person who manufactures, labels, packages, sells, or advertises a food in a manner that is false, misleading, deceptive, or misbranded as regards its character, nature, value, additive, substance, quality, quantity, composition, merit, or safety, commits an offense." Section 1301 also provides, "A person shall not manufacture for sale, sell, supply, or store products regulated under this part, except in premises registered for that purpose under this part." So the NAFCO storage facility should have been registered by FDA, so that FDA will have trained, qualified personnel supervising its operations. It has not done that. Now, LI 1541 also provides, Part 1, "No person shall offer for sale, sell, distribute, import, or otherwise dispose of repackaged food or drug, unless the food or drug is marked or labeled with A, the name of the food or drug, a list of ingredients in the food or in respect of drugs, active ingredients showing the amount of each present in the drug, an indication of the minimum durability in the form of date of manufacture and expiry date, or best before date, or use by date in respect of food, or the date of manufacture and expiry date in respect of drugs." So LI 1541 is very clear. Under no condition do you package food in Ghana without an expiry date, a best by date, or a best before date. And yet, these criminals, these callous hoodlums, have distributed over 22,000 bags of contaminated rice to our schools without an expiry date, in flagrant violation of LI 1541. And nobody has been made to answer for their crimes. What kind of jungle is this? What is happening in this country? Ladies and gentlemen, since publishing the findings of our unimpeachable parliamentary oversight, the conduct of the Ministry of Education has been most repugnant, appalling, and irresponsible, to say the least. Initially, the Ministry of Education pretended it had absolutely no knowledge of this scandal and caused its spokesperson, Mr. KWESI, to issue a statement on November 14, 2024, feigning ignorance and promising investigations. We had no choice than to expose the deception of the ministry statement, because as far back as January this year, the Food and Drugs Authority interviewed and continued to receive numerous phone calls from Deputy Minister for Education, Reverend John Intim Fojo. The FDA in Ashanti region duly documented its interactions with Reverend John Intim Fojo in its investigative report, a copy of which we have brought here. And you will see their interactions with Reverend John Intim Fojo. So, how did the Ministry of Education on November 14 put out a statement pretending that this has come to their attention for the first time and that they are now going to investigate? So the Ministry of Education was also not aware of the 2021 Auditor General's report, which, if they were really competently carrying out their functions, they should have blacklisted laments as far back as 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, in the most bizarre development, the Ministry of Education, under 24 hours of promising to investigate this matter and feigning ignorance, has shifted from an uninformed ministry going to initiate investigations to a staunch defender of laments. The ministry's PRO now claims that laments has authorization from FDA to extend the expiry date of the infamous Moshosho rice from December 2023 to April 30, 2024. Can you believe that? So now in Ghana, expiry dates can be extended. Wow. Incredible. Now, this is the first time in the country's history that the Ministry of Education will be defending a company that has admitted culpability and paid a fine instead of defending the millions of students placed under their care. Kindly take note that so far, Laments itself has not mounted any defense since we put out the outcome of our parliamentary oversight. It is the Ministry of Education which is now the official spokesperson of Laments. Shocking. Ladies and gentlemen, since government is suddenly claiming that the rebagged Moshosho rice is wholesome and was duly extended by the FDA, we challenge President Akufo-Addo, Vice President Bawumia, Education Minister Dr. Educhum, Deputy Minister Reverend Intim Fojo, to publicly consume the remaining samples that are available at the FDA office, just as they have compelled our students to consume. If they claim that Laments has an extension and that there's nothing wrong with the rice, they should publicly, we challenge them to publicly consume the rice, as they have made our helpless, innocent children consume across the country. If they really believe what they are telling us, this cock and bull story. Ladies and gentlemen, we strongly condemn this irresponsible and reckless conduct of the Ministry of Education and the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government. Now the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government must provide answers to the following pertinent questions from the people we represent in this parliament. 1. Why has the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government failed to initiate an independent, impartial, and credible investigation into this heart-wrenching matter? Why has the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government become spokespersons for the notorious Laments, even after a damning Auditor General finding of 2021? Why was Laments not blacklisted in 2021 when the Auditor General made damning findings against the company about other unwholesome food items it distributed to schools? If Laments had been blacklisted in 2021, our children would have been spared their current predicament. We have more questions. There are 20 of these questions. So please bear with us. Why did NAFCO, led by Alhaji Hanan Abdul Wahab and Nana Boache, the board chair, permit their NAFCO storage facility in Kumasi to be used by Laments for this criminal rebagging? Why did NAFCO enter into this callous and criminal conspiracy with Laments to put the lives of our students at risk? Why did NAFCO not seek approval from the FDA for the dubious repackaging exercise as required by law? Why has NAFCO failed to comply with the Public Health Act 2012 Act 851, which requires that all NAFCO storage facilities across the country be registered? As of today, NAFCO has failed to comply with utter impunity and continues to put the health of our children at great risk. We checked only last week, and will you believe, ladies and gentlemen, that NAFCO, after all of this scandal and brouhaha, the uproar, they have still not registered their storage facilities with the FDA. The impunity, the carelessness, they can't be bothered. We are told that Alhaji Abdul Wahab is busy campaigning to be MP. So he doesn't care. Now we continue with our questions for the government. Is the claim by the Education Ministry that the FDA extended the best before date from December 2023 to April 30, 2024 accurate? Is this true? The FDA must speak to this. And you in the media, please help us. Please do your work. The FDA should not be allowed to be silent in this matter. Now, if this claim is accurate, the claim that the FDA is now in the business of extending expiry dates, as Kwesi Kwarteng of the Ministry of Education is claiming, if this claim is accurate, can the FDA explain to Ghanaians under what law and authority they extended the expiry date for laments, as claimed by the Education Ministry? We passed that law, Act 851 here. There is no provision in the law which allows FDA to be extending expiry dates. We want to know under what authority, which provision of Act 851 gives FDA that legal authority to do what they did. We also want to know what are the FDA's protocols for such strange extensions. I'm sure there are many businessmen and women, shop owners, who will want to know what these protocols are, so that they will also be rushing. What is good for laments is good for the gander. But of course, in that process, all of us will just die. That is how dangerous this laments precedence is. Our questions continue. How did laments manage to obtain this extension the same day it applied the FDA? The same day it applied to the FDA. How did laments achieve that? Now, did FDA also authorize the rebagging into the ECOWAS bags, which changed the origin of the rice from India to Ghana? Since now the Ministry of Education is saying, oh, laments has done nothing wrong. They had approval, they had authorization from the FDA. We want to know, did FDA approve the rebagging into ECOWAS bags? And did FDA ask laments to change the origin from India to Ghana? That instead of made in India, they should say made in Ghana. As for Ghanaians, we are the ones, we produce contaminated rice. When the rice gets contaminated and you are criminally rebagging, then you don't use made in India, you use made in Ghana. Something our rice farmers know nothing about. And I come from a rice producing constituency. I'm sure our very many rice farmers will be so outraged. And when we do this, and Ghanaians don't want to patronize made in Ghana, who do you blame? When officials are engaged in this grand deception. So we want to know, is it the FDA, since the Ministry of Education has become the defender of laments, did the FDA ask laments to change the origin from India to Ghana? We also want to know, did FDA authorize the rebagging without the best before date or expiry date, as required by LI 1541? And you see how criminal these people are. Even if they claim that there was this strange extension, why not state it on the bag? So that as the headmasters are feeding our students with this food, they won't go beyond April. Don't forget, we are now in November. Why did they not state it? Why did they conceal this? Why do we treat human beings, our own children, our own citizens, like this? I don't think that even colonial era, even when we were under slavery, slave raiders were treating us like this. Ladies and gentlemen, we have more questions. Why did the FDA not destroy the contaminated Moshosho rice, as its internal memo of December 29, 2023 had initially recommended? Why is the Ministry of Education compelling high schools to receive repackaged food items without expiry date? This trend is so dangerous. When did they start? And how safe are our children? If headmasters are being compelled, in violation of LI 1541, to receive food items without expiry dates, God save us. And headmasters and CHAS are also tolerating this. They are not standing up and speaking up in defense of our children. The culture of silence has cowed everybody. People are afraid to lose their jobs. Why is that? Why should that be accepted? Is this Ghana, the country of the brave who stood up to colonizers? Why are heads allowing this? Why has the Ministry of Education failed to comply with recommendations from PAC and the Auditor General on improving health and safety protocols on food distribution to our senior high schools? Why has the Akufo-Addo administration not sanctioned any official involved in this grave matter? Who are the shadowy government actors who ensured the release of officials of Lamens after their arrest? And who are the unpatriotic and dangerous government officials who put pressure on the FDA to change their position on this matter? How did Lamens move from a culpable and fined company to a darling company of the Akufo-Addo government within days? Why have the directors of Lamens escaped prosecution all these years? Ladies and gentlemen, we demand answers to these 20 pertinent, crucial, and fundamental questions. Ladies and gentlemen, President Akufo-Addo and Vice President Bawumia cannot remain silent on this grave matter, which jeopardizes the health of millions of Ghanaian students. The nation is looking up to them to offer leadership, punish culprits who are largely their appointees, and implement reforms to ensure the safety of our children. The NDC caucus also demands the immediate arrest and prosecution of the directors of Lamens Investment Africa Limited, Mr. Ajefi Mensah and Simon Ejei, those two directors. And Simon Ejei, at the time of the arrest, was there supervising the operations, director of the company, supervising the illegal operations at the buffer stock storage facility in Kumasi, before the order came from above that he should be released. We demand their rearrest and prosecution. The board and management of the National Food Buffer Stock Company must be sanctioned for allowing their storage facility to be used for this recklessness, which sacrifices the health of our students for corrupt transactions, must not go unpunished. The Ministry of Education must be probed for their conduct in this despicable affair, not only for supervising this rot, which severely endangers the health of SHS students, but also their reported role as alleged by FDA officials that they piled undue pressure to get the FDA to back off. The Ministry of Education must be probed. And Reverend Johnny Tim Fojo, who has remained silent as if he's not in this country, the earlier he tells Ghanaians why he concealed this information. Because as far back as January, they could have stopped the repackaging and redistribution of this rice. None of them will be made to get away. Ladies and gentlemen, we call on CHAS, teacher unions, the PTAs, and all Ghanaians to insist, indeed they must insist, that no senior high school should ever again be made to receive food items which have been criminally repackaged and which do not contain expiry dates. This must be a no, 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 and must never be countenanced. Friends from the media, our side in respective parliamentary committees have agreed to initiate inquiries into this atrocious affair. And you can see our distinguished ranking member on the Education Committee. And to be fair to him, for many months and years, he has been raising concerns about the quality of food. You recall, you have interviewed him here on many occasions. Now we have the incontrovertible evidence. He always knew what he was talking about. But the Ministry of Education, which he oversights, refused to listen to him. And now see where we are. Ladies and gentlemen, we shall not rest until justice is done in this matter. Our senior high school students must never be subjected to this unwarranted callousness and heartlessness just because an unscrupulous few seek to enrich themselves. We thank you very much for your attention. We shall now take your questions. You can moderate. Moderate those who have questions.
Thank you very much, Majority Chief Whip. You have listened to Honorable Sami Okujeto very carefully, the chairman of the Assurances Committee. We've spoken about these food issues severally. And I think about 4 years ago, I had the privilege to meet you with some contaminated or expired tinned fish that was distributed to senior high schools. And this is a confirmation of what we have been fighting against over the years. So if you have any questions, we'll be ready to listen to you and answer them. Okay, you mention your name and your media house, then we'll listen to you.
All right, thank you. My name is Kweku Sechidan, so I work with GhanaInPeace.com. You indicated that you will not rest. Just to find out from you, using the Ghanaian parliamentary system, how soon should we see you on the floor bringing this issue for an action to be taken? And seeking for justice, if you are not satisfied, would we see you at the community court? Thank you.
We'll take 2 more and then you will respond. Yeah.
So, Christian Besseson is my name, with Natural Resources News. The investigative lawmaker. For the parliamentary routes, I'm not sure how feasible that is because of the times in which we are and looking at the timing. And so will you consider using civil society organizations, especially those who are pro-education, to help fight this cause? Thank you. I am Emmanuel Akoli of Peace FM. I want to find out those who are behind Laments or who owns Laments. Thank you.
Okay, let's take the 4th one then. Do your question.
My name is there are several anti-corruption resolutions. So, which of them are you referring to for the Ministry of Education to be put? Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, the question regarding whether the limited parliamentary sitting days would affect this. Well, our response is this. Parliamentary oversight is not on break. It is as long as Parliament exists and there are members, our oversight continues. In fact, what we have just done is the continuation of the oversight, though we are on break in activities on the floor. And committees of parliament are not on break either. So it actually tells you that part of the work is being done. We wait until parliament is recalled to see which of these actions can be taken on the floor. I think the rest of the answers would come from what my colleagues would also provide. But I can tell you what we are doing actually suggests that parliament is still in process. Committees are working and oversight is still in progress. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Chief Whip. I'll respond to the other questions. I'll start with the last one from our brother from Peace FM. I hold in my hands the incorporation documents of Lamens Investment Africa Limited. It was incorporated on 30th July 2020. So just a few days really till when it received the single source contract. So they were not even procured on a competitive basis, and they didn't have any track record by the time they were given this contract. And you see, these are the consequences when we talk about follow the procurement law, do due diligence, let things be competitive. Then you will be able to get, I mean, what is so special about the importation of food items, that all of these hundreds of credible companies we had to single source. And you can tell there was insider dealing. You know, hey, there's an opportunity for, remember that food distribution has been centralized. And that is why in the NDC manifesto, we are promising that we will go back to the era where the heads could procure their own food, where it was decentralized. They can go to their own local market, help local farmers, local food producers. And then there can be greater responsibility and accountability. So this company formed 30th July 2020, hurriedly. You also want to know the directors. We have them here. The company directors are David Ajefi Mensah and Simon Ejay. These are and those who ask the question about civil society, already we have seen civil society take up this matter and they are doing some work. Those of you whom we have read Bryce Simmons of Imani, he has revealed that his initial findings is pointing to the fact that this David Ajay Mensah and Simon Ajay belong to some KJTR, NPP association. If you read Bryce Simmons' latest post over the weekend, you see the work that he's been doing. And he has also raised concerns that based on the Auditor General's report, this company should have been blacklisted long ago. So we welcome civil society interest. I have also been on media engagement with the respected Kofi Asare of Education Watch, and he has also taken interest in this matter. He is calling on Parliament to help them by carrying out an inquiry into this matter. So we will continue to collaborate. We are just surprised so far about the silence of CHAS, of the teacher unions, of the PTAs. Maybe they are holding meetings, and we may be hearing. Oh, I thought there was a national PTA. Oh, I see. I hear the PTAs have all been disbanded. Okay, so but at least CHAS and the teacher unions, to the extent that, because it doesn't even build confidence. Parents send their children to school hoping that the institutions will protect them. But to hear that the heads are now under compulsion to be receiving contaminated food items without expiry dates, I mean, it makes the heads and Charles culpable somewhat. And we would like to hear from them on why they are allowing that. Now, for the benefit of those of you who don't have the 2021 Auditor General's report, let me read what the Auditor General discovered on Lamens. Page 133, supply of unwholesome food items, paragraph 608. In contravention of section 52 of the PFM Act 2016, Act 921, we noted that supplies of 65 bags of rice in March 2021 to Prisia Huni Valley, Senior High and Technical Schools, and 5 cartons of carnation milk to Asankregua Senior High School by Lamens were found to be unwholesome at our time of audit in September, though the expiry date on the product was October 2021. As a result, there is a risk that the items will be served to students in times of food shortage with possible health implications. We recommended to the head of the schools to report the matter to the National Buffer Stock Company for appropriate action or be held accountable for any inappropriate disposal of the items, unquote. So as far back as 2021, the question is, what did NAFCO do? What did the Ministry of Education do? So this matter, we could have stopped it as far back as 2021. And it continues. If you go to page 142, it provides a whole list, shortfall of supplies. Not only is this company serving contaminated food, they also don't meet the quantities. They go and collect full payment, and then they come and undersupply. The Auditor General has discovered that they engage in undersupply of food items from rice, mackerel, sardines, tin tomato, flour, cooking oil, margarine, sugar, beans, peanuts, garri, tin tomato, vegetable cooking oil, all undersupplied. Why is anybody entertaining this company and defending this company? The other question about the anti-corruption agencies that we will want to take up. Yes, we want to emphasize that we do not trust in any investigation that the Ministry of Education will carry out. They themselves are complicit. We have pointed out that the attempt to feign ignorance, that they didn't know about this, is not genuine, because the FDA contacted them during their investigations. The sudden attempt to also defend Lamens, become the spokespersons of Lamens, as if Lamens, they don't have directors and staff who can speak for themselves, further justifies our position that the Ministry of Education cannot be trusted to investigate itself. It will be such a discredited investigation. So we are calling for an independent commission of inquiry. That's why we are saying that President Akufo-Addo must not remain silent. We are talking about a matter that affects millions of senior high school students. President Akufo-Addo, Vice President Bawumia, this is the time for them to offer leadership. Step in and commission a special inquiry into this matter. If they fail to, we will be happy to see an organization, for example, like the OSP, take this matter up, because under the OSP Act, they are to investigate criminal conduct. And it's clear that the rebagging without authorization is a criminal conduct. And if the president would not set up a commission of inquiry into this matter, we will welcome the OSP taking up this matter and investigating it. You do know that we have collaborated with the OSP on other matters. The recent one being the $34.9 million ambulance spare parts scandal, which involved the president's daughters and their sweethearts and business partners. So we continue to collaborate with the OSP on these matters, and we will welcome another collaboration if they are minded, and we hope that they will be minded in the interest of public health and safety. We can do another round of questions.
Okay, let me.
Would you initiate process for the withdrawal of the RAG?
It has been consumed already. It has been consumed already.
We checked and it's all been consumed.
Okay, just a minute. Just a second. As you were saying, I raised this issue in February 2024, and the minister met me on the floor and asked me if it was true that weevil-infested rice was being distributed to schools. I said yes. I visited 2 schools, one in Greater Accra and one in Volta region, and that he should go back and ask for multimedia exercise or some investigation on food in